Hello, my name is Peter Fike. I'm here to tell you about things that not only have affected me, but all Americans in the 21st century. These items were extremely important to many people and our economy. I'll be talking about World War II, Black Civil Rights Movement, and 9/11. One thing that affected people in the 21st century was World War II. World War II was a devastating war. More than 56 million people died in World War II, and a large percentage of the dead people were civilians. They died due to bombing and the Holocaust. Some Americans think that Hitler was insane. Maybe not. But I'm sure of one thing. Hitler was strategically smart. By distracting his people with the mistaken belief that Jews were an inferior race, this led to the Holocaust and the killing of not only thousands of Jews, but everyone who did not have blonde hair and blue eyes. Blue eyes being a mutation, this was very rare, so many people were killed. Germany is extremely sorry for the Holocaust and its bombing during the war. Some people wish that the U.S. never used the A-bomb during the war, but I think there were maybe a few good things that came out of it. We may have never gone to space in the 60s, and most likely because of our lack of knowledge of the nuke's destructive power. We may have used one or more in Iran and or Iraq. World War II affected Americans in what way? After World War II, there was a huge economic boom. The factories that produced war materials began producing products for people's luxury. A second thing that affected us in the 21st century was the Civil Rights Movement. The American Civil Rights Movement was a period in history when African Americans and other people groups rose up and fought for their rights. During this time, many African American heroes rose, such as Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., Rosa Parks, Thurgood Marshall, and Malcolm X. One of the first wins for blacks and other races was when President Truman signed the executive order that said, "It is hereby declared to be the policy of the President that there shall be equality of treatment and opportunity for all persons in the armed services without regard to race, color, religion, or national origin." Another victory was in Brown versus Board of Education of Topeka, in which Thurgood Marshall supported the Brown family in the integration of schools. That is, the bringing together of segregated places. Why did this come up? Linda Brown had to walk several miles just to get to the bus stop for her school. She wanted to go to school in her own neighborhood with kids she knew. When Linda's parents tried to admit her into the white school in town, they were turned down. The Browns, with the help of lawyer Thurgood Marshall, went to court. After the U.S. Supreme Court ruled in the Browns' favor, Thurgood Marshall eventually became leader of the Supreme Court. Another victory for blacks was the Montgomery boycott. It started when Rosa Parks refused to give up her seat on the bus to a white person. At the time, a black person could sit where he or she wanted, as long as a white person did not need or want that seat. Rosa Parks was arrested when she refused to give up her seat. Most of the blacks in Montgomery boycotted buses, so they walked where they wanted to go. Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. led marches that went for miles. After several months, segregation of buses was outlawed. There were a great many other victories. This affected the United States in many ways. Blacks then did not have the rights they do today. Whites would not go to school with many kinds of people, and blacks would not see whites in school. I do not think that would be fair. Another thing that affected me and a great many other people in the 21st century was 9/11. 9/11 was a terrorist attack, one of the worst yet. It was caused by a group called Al-Qaeda. The death toll on civilians was 3,000. There were 3 targets: the World Trade Center in New York, the Pentagon in Washington, D.C., and the last one is unknown. The first plane hit one of the Twin Towers. About 20 minutes later, a second one hit the second tower. About 30 minutes after that, an airplane smashed into the Pentagon. The fourth plane crashed 30 minutes later in Shanksville, Pennsylvania. The passengers figured out that the terrorists had taken over the plane, so they revolted, took the plane over, and crashed it into an empty field. I think the people on that plane were heroes. They gave their lives for the sake of others. 9/11 affected us by making our country better protected. We now have Homeland Security and we have tighter airport security. I feel like we will be less likely to be attacked in our homes by terrorists. We will have more awareness of what is going on in other countries. These three things were critical to our nation. I enjoyed telling you about them. I hope informed you on these subjects.